excited to get into this one as we head straight into this knife round, Joshua.
We're straight into the pistol. This isn't even the knife. This is big time. Very, very quick pace over towards this B site. Zotic, he's only good for one before it's traded. And Triumph, they're just right in. No slowing down. No foot on the brakes. Quick frags coming through, and it all leaves it down to Penny.
Pistol often is where we get our most fiery action, and this one's certainly not disappointing either. Penny really needs to find this shot right now if he wants Triumph to have that favourable T side, and Phantom's got the angle completely under wraps. Health advantage as well, and a USPS in hand. Penny closing in, bomb in the open, and Phantom does connect that shot, so Rebirth starts off exactly as the doctor ordered, 1-0.
Absolutely needed to win that pistol round. And, well, this is really one of their win conditions, isn't it? Starting off on this CT side, they need to win the pistol. They need to string a few together off of it and have a strong first half. And off of a round like that, no bomb plant coming down for Triumph as well is really, really what they're looking for. 1-0 up, they face up against a full eco, and they've got the SMGs and the FAMASs in hand to rack up some cash here as well to get ready for the third.
With the Deagles out, it's actually a pretty minimal investment here for Triumph. Obviously wanting the rifles coming into round number 3 should be a simple show for Rebirth. Carson right around this corner in Mini should be able to eliminate a couple, and without the smokes down and away, I'm surprised Secret is actually in contention for Triumph here. Junior's got the angle with the Glock and just looking to do a little bit of extra damage. Remember, those reinvestments do get costly as we head later into this game. But with the only Glocks in hand, Deagle already exposing his position on Moose. I wonder what happens with the bomb on this A site.
This is really the issue. The bomb's in no man's land, and Phantom's allowed to get himself another snappy shot with that XM. That's going to be $1,800 for him. He's nearly paid off that weaponry investment. Going into the third, I'm almost certain he'll upgrade. Glock not able to do anything from Junior there as well, and that's going to be a pretty swift second for Rebirth. Nice stuff, clean stuff, no bomb plant allowed for Triumph, and they're going to go into round number 3 with, well, sufficient cash, but certainly not enough to pull out an AWP, and certainly not enough to have a healthy stack of utility.
That's exactly what we're expecting here. 2-0, dream start. Wanting to convert this initial rifle round, though. Triumph, they've got the AK-47s in hand, as you mentioned. Double Molotov for Penny and Sheikh Zula. He's on the calling for this one, remember. Quite a rock-solid in-game leader, I've got to say. North America seems to be absolutely stacked with them. 4-pack gets aggressive here into Huts, but not going to fish out for all too much information, and Triumph get a whole lot more. Right down vents. Rebirth seem unprepared as the smokes come in.
Yeah, that real fast pace to blow off that door, get right down vent, certainly gives them loads of legroom to work with. And Zotic, the lone man down on that B site, has to try and contend with it. But with Carson holding behind this box, the MP9 in hand, had to try and do some damage there, and he's only good for one. That's going to open things up for Triumph to wrap around and start to close in on this B bomb site and crush it.
This will be somewhat of a triple execute. The crossfire in place, but Junior's ready to receive, and Moose inside the vents to cut off the rotates. Triumph have a very powerful chokehold of this B-bomb site. And the only question really for me, Josh, is when are they going to execute? Maybe on this 45-second mark, all of the building blocks are firmly in place, and as the windows get popped open, this less advantageous set of weapons, the double FAMAS, the XM forced back, how can Rebirth hold this one away? All of the players are in the correct positions, and maybe Triumph decide to bail towards the A-bomb site with Junior holding the pack. I'm really not sure. 4-pack finds the first. He's completely isolated away from the action, and Junior is starting to poke out of control into this B-bomb site. Clock down to 20. They're letting this one run to 0, and with the bomb exposed, that's dropped on the open, and that's a full Rebirth flawless round. Only Carson dropping.
Some big mistakes from Triumph there. They took that nice early control, and then they held it for ages. And as that time pressure started to mount, they knew that they had to push into that B-bomb site, but they hadn't spotted out Zotic. They hadn't spotted out Retchi. And as soon as they pushed through with 15 seconds left, they walked straight into this crossfire. There was no time to trade the frags. There was no time to go for that C4 plant. And in the meantime, they'd lost all other map control. That's going to force them right back down to this pistol bite and give Rebirth a flawless start.
Only pistols should be an easy sweep away, and with Carson held outside, likes to get aggressive into these angles. We saw it previously with the MP9 even racking away a headshot, and there's another one. Not quite against the AK-47s this time, so he can stick around and farm that cash. The only player with an SMG, remember, that's $1,800 for his back pocket. Chunky investment, and he has certainly paid the debts of that MP9 at this point.
Absolutely. Moose all on his lonesome. He's against 4 here as well. The AK in hand, maybe he can punch in some damage with it, but it's not going to be all too costly because Rebirth, they're not going to be too phased by reinvesting unless they lose this orb, in which case, then it's quite costly, but it's not going to happen. 4-pack doesn't miss those ones. That's going to put Rebirth onto round number 4 and actually build up their bank even further. Every man sitting around that 6-7K mark right now.
I always say that Nuke is a very dangerous pick. Your opponents always get to start in these tier 1 tournaments on the CT side. If you pick the map, your opponent picks the half. Rebirth on CT, they've actually called the tactical timeout here. That's incredibly interesting. Seems like a mistake, but obviously 4-0. Now they've got a bit of a foothold on this CT side. They don't want to give it away against the rifles. It's Triumph's secondary investment. It can be so hard to get into these bomb sites as a terrorist half, and Triumph definitely paying the price in the early rounds with only Moose finding kills. Penny and Sheikh Zulu only 1 and 2 apiece. Is Rebirth really starting to take off? Even keeping the XM and MP9 in hand into this one for a bit of extra cash.
This has been quite a difficult one to watch because Triumph have been fantastic at taking this initial control. You sometimes see on T sides that the team are just getting completely overwhelmed. They can't find any ticket in. The defense is just rock solid and they just get denied at the door every single time. But that's not the case here. They take this outside control. They manage to get down secret. They manage to blow off the doors and get down into vents and take little control over towards B. We've seen that in these opening rounds. We've seen them take ramp control a lot as well. But as soon as they take it, they then seem to hold it for too long. The clock starts to wind down and they're not able to gain anything off of it. They can't seem to get this bomb down like at all. And Rebirth are just playing the long game. They're not trying to contest the control early on. They're going to fall back. They're going to take the fights when the clock's ticking away and they have that advantage. And they're playing it absolutely flawlessly. And if this continues, they could rack up some more rounds here on their CT side early on. And that's where it starts to get dangerous.
I really do wonder right there as well. That was a double tactical timeout for Rebirth. I can't imagine at 4-0 they even want to take even one tactical timeout. It might be a toilet break or something at this point, to be perfectly honest. I don't know what they'd be talking about right now. And considering they really haven't changed much up, a bit of outside control for Carson, I don't know what they mentioned. Maybe it's this triple stack through red. Only one frag found as a response. In Triumph, they're not clinging on to this one. Likely 5-0. Let's see if Penny can pump in any more action. But completely lost in translation and about to walk into this deadly shotgun. Phantom right around this corner. Moose completely has the backtrack angle. He slid down vents. Remember, there's a null and void defense on the A bomb site, so he takes control where it's necessary. Just a minute left.
This is a really fantastic response from Moose, and he's really the playmaker here. If he can manage to wriggle his way out, find an opening kill, then it certainly gives opportunity. As Penny's able to retrieve that bomb, Moose can poke out. There's surely no way that 4-pack expects this, and that's going to be the kill go in their favor. A 4 versus 2 that was almost certainly Rebirth's round for the taking starts to get complicated, but as Penny's the only man standing and a flank comes through, Phantom's able to finish things off, and Rebirth put themselves on to 5.
Sensational defense right there. We often see Carson playing aggressive, primarily with that MP9. This time, joined by 2 teammates. All of that map control coming through for Rebirth, and they absolutely cash it in. 5-0. This is where things get a little more complicated once again. They're against a bit of a scrappy buy. The Galil comes out for Penny. A full investment for Rebirth. All of that utility, all 5 incendiaries in hand, where it's only a couple of flashbangs and perhaps a fast run and gun stance onto this A bomb site. No, it's down vents instead.
It worked for them before to take that control, but they didn't seize it when they had the opportunity to. This time, they're not going to make the same mistake. Dart right onto that site, get that C4 down, and pay the post plant.
Penny has the Galil in hand. He's watching for the fast rotates, and he certainly is going to find one. Paying the cash reward, and Phantom doesn't get caught out there. That was a completely 180 switch round onto Junior. A big mistake, and that allows the CT-75 to take control on the B bomb site. Sheikh Zula gets pounded, but it's all down to Curry, and he's going to fall the same way. Rebirth, they cling on Joshua 6-0.
That's really unfortunate. If Sheikh wins that gunfight, that almost certainly goes their favor. It's then a 2 versus 1. They can play together. They can go for that double peak. But somehow the headshot comes through and Sheikh gets eviscerated. And it goes 6-0. This is some really, really convincing stuff from Rebirth. In the previous buy round, they proved me wrong. I talked about the fact that, of course, Triumph have been able to take some control. It's not like Rebirth have been contesting it early and denying it. But in round number 6, in fact, round number 5, I should say, that's exactly what we saw. And the 6th, that was just easy pickings for them. They were against those pistols. Now they've got to face up against the rifles again, but some early damage punched in from Phantom kicks things off nicely.
I'm excited. We're shaping up for a classic game of Nuke, often the CT-sided behemoths. Thus far in IEM New York, an average, I think, 68% of rounds taken on those CT sides. That's considering we've had a very one-sided field with Liquid, EG, 100 Thieves really just leading up the pack in this tournament.
Triumph. They've started to put their foot on the brakes a little bit. We saw them going very, very fast towards that squeaky door. They've been able to throw that nade and smoke early on and get down vents in several of these rounds. This time, Rebirth counter it nicely and punch in some damage for the early frag. And Triumph know that they can't play that game anymore. They have to try and take control elsewhere, and that's going to be outside. They get those smokes in. They can now cross to secret if they want to, but with 50 seconds on this clock, they really need to find themselves at least a kill or maybe some control to give them some wiggle room to get onto a bomb site.
Phantom out in the open, AK-47 retrieved and in hand. That incendiary grenade, difficult to contend with, and Phantom doesn't pull the trigger. Could have certainly been some damage, and at the 30-second mark, Triumph, they're isolated from one side. Bomb spotted, that allows the rotates. It might not even be needed. It's Junior. He is doing everything. A 1 versus 2 to achieve to put Triumph first on the board. He's being wrapped from both sides, still has to retrieve that C4 in the meantime, and with 15 seconds left to be played, he's going to bail to the B bomb site. Clock down to 10. Needs to get this C4 scrambled in, and he will tap those digits through, but this open plant, surely Retchie finds this shot, and it's with the P250. That does the trick. A bit of extra bonus cash for Triumph, but that's all she wrote. 7-0.
Very, very valiant attempt from Junior there. Landing that second no-scope was absolutely mental, and I started to creep to the edge of my seat. But he's not able to convert it. A fantastic response from Rebirth there, of course. In that retake scenario, you really don't want 2 AWPs, but for them to get that pace in and deny the plant before it can even go down, or not quite deny it before it can go down, but be ready to retake it before the bomb can go down at the very least, is exactly what they needed to do. They sit 7-0 now, and this is where it starts to get dangerous. I mean, it started to get dangerous a couple of rounds ago, I reckon, but when you start taking those early rounds on that CT side, it certainly has to be expected. When you then continue it and have a really, really dominant first half, it starts to shake up Triumph right now. They have to start putting some rounds on the board, otherwise they're going to struggle.
AK-47s all round as Curry, Sheikh Zula, they take control either side of this map. Rebirth, they've been massively competitive, and it's been off the back of Carson. 12 kills for him. Moose going to find the first this time and dive down to vents as a response. Lots of control taken, but how to try and capitalize.
Well, this is the first time in a while that they found this initial kill, but as Phantom's able to trade it right back, brings things back into a 4-on-4. The difference is that Triumph have got the room to work with. They're down secret. They've got this control over towards the B site, but as soon as they open a door, they're going to give away a sound cue. A mistake from Carson to overface there, though, gives that man advantage back in Triumph's favor, and this is where they can start to close in and take this control away.
If you've got the info, you need to pre-fire. If you don't peek at all. He gets punished. 7-0. I think Rebirth can afford to take some risks, but certainly don't want to let Triumph back into this one. A nicely placed nade rolls towards the feet of Penny. But with secret control already taken, Triumph already downstairs, and Penny does find another one. He was the young gun, the shining star on Dust 2. Over 30 kills to finish off that first map. It's not been the same performance. Only 4 found thus far. I think Phantom might be spotted here. Penny's got another one. That's up to 6.
That's a really nice read from Penny there. Knows exactly what's up, and he's just able to find that kill with ease. That's a nice response from Triumph. I think that Rebirth need to think about what went wrong there and counter that. We see that they've really had no control over towards Secret, and they haven't been contesting it. You often see a CT player holding towards those stairs down Secret, where they can start to contest it once the control's been taken away. Rebirth haven't been doing that at all. They've been giving Triumph a lot of room to work with, and only rotating when they hear those sound cues of the doors or the windows smashing. Maybe this is where they come for a response and invest a man down there to try and hold it up. But as this smoke goes down, Moose once again is able to get down vents. And this is where Zotic is playing exactly from the position I mentioned. But is he going to expect Moose here already? Apparently not.
Unbeknownst to him, he does get his head removed, and there's Junior for the second. Triumph starting to take control, and now Rebirth a dilemma. The money is low, only 1,700 for Carson and Recchi. I think they have to save these M4s to even afford a buy into the next. And with Carson overfacing, they do want to pull the trigger on this B bomb site. They seem to have a little bit of a polarized setup. With Phantom going back towards the T spawn, but the aggression through Secret, they need to get the cards in order and really just keep these rifles alive going into the 10th.
You need to make this call, don't you? Are you going to save and fall right away, or are you going for these exits? Or are you going for this retake? It's certainly not going to be the final of the three. They're not going for this retake whatsoever. It's looking like they are going to try and get some exit frags here. They know that the economy of the Triumph side isn't too healthy. Triumph have to start to run away here. It's going to be actually the ramp where they exit, and they will all stay alive by the looks of things. So a very nice round from them. That's going to be their second, and this is where it has to be a turning point. And the last two rounds, they've certainly shown signs of it. If they can close this gap, have an 8-7 half, it would be absolutely fantastic. Even if they can find 5 or 6 here, it could certainly be sufficient.
I've certainly got to commend Triumph. What a change of pace. 2 rounds in a row. They've almost broken the bye. This is the opportunity to really get back into the game and get into the lead, perhaps. 7-2, the win of this first half, certainly not secured by Rebirth. I think they're aiming for 10 at this point, especially with that 7-0 start. And look at these aggressively stance members for Triumph. The AK-47 reigns in. Phantom, he's able to steal one right back.
This is where Triumph are finding these early picks and giving them that man advantage. It's 7-2, and of course they want to extend it further, close this gap even more. Curry getting right aggressive in here. The flash complements him, and he's even able to find the kill onto Zotic. Brings things back into a 3-on-3 and 4-pack. Force pack from the Molotov, but he wants to fight. He goes for the kills. Pack down to 4 HP as well, but can't do any more than that. His teammates are able to pick up the pieces. It leaves it all down to Junior.
Nice little fadeaway shot onto 4-pack. Still a minute on the clock, but I don't think he's aware of this flank. Phantom right in behind. The AK-47 might be able to do the trick, but not with his back turned. He needs to swing 180 degrees right now, and with Recchi taking the firefight, Phantom's able to punish. These rotates, they're so beautiful from Rebirth. They're establishing a massive lead right now on Nuke.
A very nice response from them. We saw Triumph in those early rounds not go for these initial gunfights, instead go for the initial control. They had that smoke down, and their aim was to try and get down vents and get down towards B. Instead, this round, they break the door, they throw the smoke, but they're going for that initial frag. And they found it. And in the last couple, after finding that first kill, they've had a lot of success. But Rebirth respond very nicely, punch in some aggression of their own, and are able to snatch away the round. As we go into the 11th, it's Triumph's time to try and bounce back, otherwise they're going to have no cash left, and Phantom's able to open things up nicely.
Really does feel like the game plan here for Junior is breaking open that squeaky door to give himself a vantage point onto the A bomb site. It hasn't worked in the last 2. As Carson doubles down on this outside pressure. 13 kills for him so far, and an AK-47 in hand. He's not going to find anything apart from a hail of bullets from Penny this time.
4 versus 4 situation. The smokes go up. It's going to allow a cross for Sheikh Zula. This starts to add problems for Rebirth. They've now lost a lot of control. They have to be wary of many angles. Often you have to be on a map like Nuke. But Phantom, he just has to focus on the task at hand. And that's this one man in front of him. In fact, 2 men in front of him towards the squeaky door. He's able to find the first. That's the bomb dropped. Peeks for the second and doesn't have the same success. But as he falls, it leaves it all into a 2-on-1 for his teammate 4-pack.
That was a 1-2 sucker punch. Doesn't work out. And 4-pack finds an angle. He over-aggresses into Penny, and that instantly ends the round.
Penny, the man who was putting up the big numbers over on Dust 2, not quite doing the same here on Nuke, but a nice 4K there to tip the round in their favor, puts him onto double digits. As we go into the 12th, this really has to be a round win for Triumph and an opportunity for them to string together a couple off of it. A full eco, no, in fact, not a full eco, a force from Rebirth, but no rifles available, just the pistols and a couple of MP9s to work with. And with this range advantage for the T side, they should be able to tip this one over the edge.
This could be the turning point where the seesaw tips in Triumph's favor. Outside control once again. It's been the golden gun for Rebirth on the CT side. Zotic is going to be the most aggressive player. 4 players, or actually maybe even all 5. I think there's a CZ just tucked inside the corner as well. So much pressure. It is just the 4 members, but I say just. They're able to collapse as the MP9 as well. Surprise, surprise, Carson. There's a little early Christmas present. A bunch of quick kills as Moose able to capitalize. A triple spray down. The bomb. It's out in the open. He doesn't know exactly where Retchi's playing from, but seems to have some idea. Was there a Sankyu made? I've got no idea, but Moose capitalizes. What a quad kill.
What a round as well. I thought that was Rebirths for the taking after the MP9s prevailed on outside, but Moose somehow picks up the pieces. 4 kills found. It puts that all-important round number 4 on the board for Triumph as well. It doesn't seem all too impactful, but it absolutely is. If they lose that one, they have no cash left in the bank. Rebirth put themselves onto 9 and more than likely 10, and instead, it's stripped away from them. They're forced onto an eco, and Triumph have a ticket back into this one.
AWP at the ready, and Triumph might be about to steal their 5th more than likely. Carson, the only man who can spoil this party. He's got the flames in hand, but it's only good for the first. 4-pack needs to capitalize right now, but only USPS is available to him. Zotic and Phantom, the upgraded pistols. I don't see this getting all too complicated.
Castle. Nah, 4-pack's not able to find himself anything there. Just leaves it down to Phantom and Zotic. They're in positions where maybe they could find themselves one, but the round's certainly not in contention just yet. As they get spotted out, Phantom gets eliminated, and Zotic surely soon to follow. It's unfortunate stuff. It all kind of started to align for Carson as they didn't even spot him out outside. He had an opportunity to get himself maybe 2-3 kills. Zotic's been given that same opportunity, but he doesn't seize it. That's 5 on the board there for Triumph quite comfortably, and keeping those 4 players alive as well means that very, very minimal reinvestments are needed here in round number 14.
High pressure moment for Rebirth as well. This is where the half can start to fall apart. They found that 7-0 start, but 8-5, not nearly as impressive. Triumph could certainly even close this half out with 7 of their own.
Now they've got the weapons to work with. Of course, no AWP available for 4-pack, but he replaces it with another scoped rifle. It's the AUG. Very, very minimal utility to work with. It means that they have to find these frags. And look at this boost from 4-pack. I love this position. He surely finds this kill onto Sheikh Zula if he overfaces. But for now, it's not going to happen. And Moose starts things off over towards A with a double kill.
Pulling the trigger, and Retchi now needs to hold this one up on his lonesome. The first frag found, avenging his teammates. Phantom and Carson also dropping, but with Retchi finding one in response, maybe gives Rebirth a window of opportunity. That window, it's closed by Junior. This round surely over. His 4-pack, I think he might want to apply the pressure and pull the trigger, or get the ready, and what a headshot onto Sheikh Zula.
He gets himself into this crazy aggressive position at the start. He's right out in the open, and you'd expect him to either find the kill or get punished for it. But instead, he stays alive, and he's the clutch man. Catches them both off guard. There's absolutely no way they're expecting him to push through that smoke. And what a flawless play for him to find. They sit 9-5 now. They deny their opponents from closing up this scoreline fully in an 8-7 fashion. And they can have the weapons to work with here in the 15th as well. They face up against the AKs. They've got a bit of a mix match buy with the MP9 and the XM in play, but they're playing up close and personal, and they could certainly deal tons of damage.
Really not too much of a weakness either on that A bomb site when you can get up close and personal, especially with that shotgun. We saw a North American star in his own right, Hiko, revolutionize that play years ago now, but instead they're going to circumnavigate this setup and challenge Zotic with the 1-to-1 trade. It's 4-pack to follow up, but he's fully flashed and now needs to take a second engagement perhaps against the 3Ts who lie in wait. Another flashbang for him to eat, and he does miss that all-important shot. That gives Triumph a bit of control, but Carson's there to salvage it. 4Pack wants to double dip into the ramp room, but he hasn't been expecting Penny or Moose at this point. Moose is actually tucked inside that corner, and there goes the AWP. Phantom with only an XM in hand. This could all fall apart incredibly quickly, and Triumph ending up with 6 really wouldn't be too bad of a half.
4Pack missing those all-important shots could just cost them the round, as Penny's able to find himself another. Brings things back into a 2-on-2 situation, and with 40 seconds on this clock, they've got time to pick and choose. And Rebirth know it. They have to fall away and play this one a little more defensive. As the time ticks away, it's looking like Triumph are going to head towards B.
I talked about that XM. Josh said it wasn't too good at close range. It said it wasn't too bad at close range even, but at extreme long range, that's where its real weaknesses start to show. Carson's got the angle completely under wraps, and Moose overexposes for just a second, and Penny's not got a lot of time on the clock to get this bomb down or away. He is going to bait Carson into the face. That's a bit of a mistake. And with the overpeak coming through, Retchie, oh, he's going to swing in. What a headshot to end the half. Penny, the man who started us strong on Dust 2, he did go a little bit quiet, I must say, there on Nuke, but finishing off the half in style. What a way to end things as we go to a quick break before the second half of Nuke resumes. You don't want to go anywhere, folks. You don't want to be missing this one, because we will be right back.
I've been working part-time jobs, chasing all my dreams now lately. No matter if I try too hard, nothing's ever enough, baby. No, I don't care too much. I don't care too much. As long as I can keep you by my side, I don't care too much. We got time, no rush. In your eyes, I always see there is something meant for me. In your eyes, I always feel different. Tell me everything's alright. Life is just a bunch of faces, and if it's not, we'll still be fine. I know we're going places. I don't care too much. I don't care too much. As long as I can keep you by my side, I don't care too much. We got time, no rush. In your eyes, I always see there is something meant for me. In your eyes, I always feel different. In your eyes, I always see there is something meant for me.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. For next pistol round, IEM New York. Getting to the end of this group stage right now and right into this action. It will be this 8-8 fast out of the gates on this T side and a round that they really do need. It's traded back both ways and Zotic able to find 2 as a response. Phantom comes in with another one and it's all down to this heaven position. USPS in hand and now needing to chip through. That grenade's going to deal a ton of damage. Beautifully placed as the C4 goes down in a way. This USPS not going to avail just yet and the wrong angle being checked. Look at this triple peek. It's beautifully coordinated.
Quite the statement from Rebirth there. They're saying we're not just good on this CT side. We can come in on the T half and we can absolutely dominate you. A fantastic pistol round. Pure aggression to get them through the gates. And it puts them on to double digits. Really starting to shake up Triumph now as they close closer and closer to that finishing line. Of course, they're just 6 away from taking Nuke and pushing this one onto the 3rd map, which I don't think either of us would have been expecting. But the force buy coming through from Triumph, the MP9s and pistols to work with, and let's see if they can get the job done.
What a massive moment in this series. A T-sided pistol that Rebirth really needed to take, and they absolutely did in quite the stonking fashion. Flawless smokes outside. That gives not even a single little gap for Triumph to work with. No information granted just yet. As Moose plays this little pixel angle, he'll throw down the smoke and decide to back away onto B as soon as possible. Desert Eagle in hand. If Rebirth decide to engage, he's there ready to receive. Disengaging means it's outside towards this stack.
By throwing that smoke, it not only buys some time for himself, but it buys some time for his teammates to take control elsewhere. And Rebirth know that. They can't just stick around in secret for another 20 seconds. They have to try and feel around and find some frags elsewhere. With Junior with this scout, can't quite connect himself anything, but he spotted out a lot of information. That allows his teams to wrap around and try and find themselves something, but it's not going to happen. Junior finishes... Well, Junior falls, in fact, as Zotic finishes him off. Sheikh Zula's there to retrieve that scout, but I don't think they can get a whole lot done here.
Quite the play on this A bomb site. Zotic 4-pack coming to avail and only the MP9 that can't hold up the ground. Moose might even ponder saving this Desert Eagle now. Finding the 1 kill as a response, but that AK-47 seems fairly unretrievable. I don't imagine that Rebirth will let him get away with this one. It's actually a Galil instead. It's nice and purple as well, so nice one to build the bank account. Can't see Moose surviving this time. Phantom in the back lines. He actually has the angle as a response, but not going to find the frag there. An 11th secured for Rebirth.
Really nice response. Forces Triumph onto what will be an eco now. I think maybe we'll see some pistols come out. A little bit of utility. Kevlar on a couple of these guys that are sitting on that 3k mark, unless they are saving up for that AWP. But it's certainly not going to be a full investment. That gives Rebirth a really nice ticket to take a 12th. And that's where it just claws closer and closer to that magic number 16. And as soon as you start getting yourself onto 13, 14 rounds, it no longer becomes about skill for Triumph. It just becomes about not making a couple of little key mistakes that could give the game away. And just with these pistols to work with, Kevlar on 2, they have to try and hold this one up or at least punch in some damage.
Looking for this initial information, and 4-pack finds more than just intel. The head of Junior, that'll be on the menu for a starter. And up against these pistols, expect Rebirth to chomp their way to a 12th with very minimal damage taken. 4-pack really heating up right now. That's his 13th frag of this second map. By the way, Josh, we did see a lot of trash talk in the chat from that first half. I think Carson being the... What would you say? I was going to say the biggest criminal or the biggest, not quite the biggest victim, but he's definitely doing a lot of the trash talking.
Maybe. They were all going at it. They were really loving it. It's getting heated. The series is getting heated. And now as the rounds start to get more in contention as well, that's where that morale starts to play a factor. And you love to see it. You love to see the good old trash talk. We don't really see it all too much nowadays. But yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see. And in the second map, Rebirth causing a bit of an upset. They're absolutely right to do so. Smoke's going up outside, gives them some control to work with. And the Molotov actually making that smoke land out of position as well. Or in fact, land in position, I should say. And it gives them a ticket right around.
Moose gives Zotic a ticket right out of this round. 1 minute 30 on the clock. Very fast stance, but with Sheikh Zula holding the angle, this might be just a CT configuration that completely bursts the momentum of this second half. Carson versus 5 already. Now the objective becomes damage, and it's not going to happen. Penny instantly eviscerates him with the headshots.
That's really unfortunate. I liked that from Rebirth. They changed up the pace. They went really, really quick outside, even throwing that Molotov down as well to make that smoke land instantly so that they could cross without any time wasted. But somehow Triumph were just a little bit quicker to the punch. The rotates were flawless, and they were able to completely shut it down whilst only taking a mere 3 points of damage. So very, very clean stuff. They're able to hold on to these rifles as they go into the 20th, but they need 5 in a row to level this one up.
5 in a row needed. That's what the doctor ordered. In Triumph, they've got this CT side of Nuke to get the job done. Junior's got the AWP as well. More of a hefty investment here coming into the main buy round for this Triumph CT side.
Rebirth, if they can't take this one, they're forced right back down to an eco. So they're not making any mistakes here. No one wants to be the man to overface and give their opponents that initial duel. Instead, just holding for some aggression from this Triumph side. But as Carson manages to wriggle his way further down Secret, he goes completely unnoticed by Moose. This could be a big play.
Certainly could be. Junior's got the angle towards the ramp room, but shouldn't receive too much action in the next 5-10 seconds at least. This will be that key moment. Sheikh Zula, he's there for the intelligence. And then the AWP there to shut this one down. Rebirth could certainly backtrack towards the A bomb site still. They're not committed with the bomb still in main. Sheikh Zula on this initial angle. His job usually just to find one, then backtrack to B. And with the AK-47 in hand, he doesn't need to contend with these headshots, and Carson finds him instead. There's the flank coming in, as you mentioned. And Moose on the B bomb site needs to be the last line of defense. That's a really big mistake. Oh, Josh, out in the open. That gives away the whole of B. And now it's down to Penny and Curry. Penny's certainly not been spotted. And there's the swing. The retrade doesn't come in. And Phantom finds 2. Junior. This is such an unenviable position. There's no smoke grenade for that bomb. And there's no defuse kit to get this one in quickly.
Such a back and forth round, and Junior left with a very, very tough task. He's given an opportunity as the AWP whiffs its shot and 4-Pack's forced right back. But now he has to tap this bomb. There's no kit. There's no time. He has to just fall away, and there's no chance of him being allowed to. 4-Pack finishes things off, and that's going to be the 13th for Rebirth. What a fantastic round. Carson getting right down into Secret, wrapping around the back lines. We saw Sheikh Zula on ramp. He absolutely had to be the playmaker to find 2, maybe 3 kills to shut that one down, or at least buy some time for his teammates to rotate. But Carson in the back lines completely eliminates him, wasting no time for Rebirth. They can get right down ramp, get that bomb down, and secure that round. And that's going to be 3 away from finishing things off now. This is looking dire for Triumph.
This map could be over incredibly quickly, and with a lack of utility on that A bomb site, those incens become the problem. Moose tries to negate that factor, finds the initial headshot, and outside control still becoming a priority for Triumph. Moose needs to almost single-handedly hold it up. Sheikh Zula just searching around, but it's Moose the key man to find yet another. He's looking for even more, but that is a stunning headshot from 4-Pack.
Millimeter gap held and somehow connects with it. What a response for him to find. That pretty much opens up outside control as well, so certainly gives them a lot of leg room to work with. If they can find one more untraded, then they level things back up into a 3-on-3, and it's Carson to try and do so. Spots out Penny, but can't connect the shot. That's going to force Penny right back out. He doesn't want to go for a second engagement here. Relays this information to Curry, and they can start to come in and crush this attack. Both kills found, even the third converted, and Curry, that's a nice double kill for him to find right at the end there to keep Triumph floating.
Both of these Triumph rifle rounds have been incredibly convincing. 4 players surviving each time. It's just a shame they can't chain these together. This might be their last chance to do so, though, in Rebirth taking that tactical timeout as a response. They actually did take 2 in that first half, Triumph, so they've only got 2 up for grabs. They haven't been using them thus far in this series. This is the first actual tactical timeout that we'll see. So taking a bit of a discussion time to really figure out this setup. The CT side, Josh, it can really snowball in quite a deadly, dangerous way.
Absolutely. We saw Triumph starting quite slow over on Dust 2. It was very, very close, the rounds bouncing back and forth, and then they started to pick it up and completely overwhelm it. Maybe they've started a little bit too slow for a bit too long here on Nuke. They've allowed Rebirth to take a huge share of the rounds. They now sit on 13, and they have a mammoth task to try and pull this one back and finish this off in regulation. They've really not left themselves a lot of wriggle room to make mistakes with. Now it has to be flawless Counter-Strike, but only against the Pistols here in the 22nd.
This might be the key round. If Triumph can take it, they're up to practically 10. That seems to be a guarantee, and Junior wants to ensure it with that first shot.
Oh, nice headshot from Zotic there. Brings things back into a 4-on-4 and actually gives them loads of control towards B as well. They can head right down here and take these engagements, but the retake's hot on its heels.
Straight in towards the B bomb site, and that is the response. Moose at the ready, but this CT side, it's crumbling, Josh, and 4-Pack wants to make that cookie crumble even further. It's not going to be allowed to happen. That's a complete no-scope for Junior. A surprising shot, but presses mouse one. And now Carson needs to hold up the angle. He's sat on this B ramp and needs to connect with his first headshot onto Curry. The flashbang is perfect, and that might isolate Zotic in the retake scenario. Both players need to swing, and Moose actually blows his load a little early. It is going to pan out successfully as the kits are at the ready for this defuse.
Very, very nice stuff from Triumph there. As soon as they lose that B site, it can be quite a difficult one to retake. But the utility is fantastic. Of course, when you're tunnel visioned in down that AUG scope, you can't see those flashes come across on your screen, and it just completely eliminates them. Triumph now sit on 9, and I'm sure this is going to be a complete eco. Maybe not an eco. With that bomb plant as well, I'm sure they go for some pistols here. Maybe Rebirth have got a little bit to work with, but this should be the 10th here for Triumph, and this is where things start to get dangerous. They certainly have an opportunity to close this gap.
The big objective is to do as much economical damage as possible, and these 1Ds coming in is certainly the way to do that. Carson might be the only frag that Rebirth were able to find this round, but with the retrieved AK-47, Retchi, that aim punch becomes the real issue when taking the engagement onto Curry. He burns him out of the server, and already at the 90-second mark, Triumph should be able to take control of this one just against the Glock and Deeg.
Absolutely. With no Kevlar, your crosshair goes sky high as soon as you take a bullet to the chest. And I don't think there's going to be any more casualties here for Triumph unless 4-Pack can punch in some crazy 1Ds. With Sheikh Zula coming behind, surely he spots him out. Timing, come on. Oh, it doesn't quite go in his favor. Maybe 4-Pack's able to get away with one more here if he can peek into Junior. He's heard the scope, knows exactly where he is. Can't quite connect the shot, though. And Junior responds with a very, very snappy headshot. So 10 rounds now for Triumph. They've got some money behind them to work with as well, but this is where they face up against the big guns once again from Rebirth. This is really their last chance to close this one out before the scoreline becomes very, very close in contention.
It's absolutely been a one-man show thus far, not just on Dust 2, but Nuke as well, starting to become Moose in Penny's playground. Penny, the headshot machine on this Triumph side, actually topping the tables as far as those statistics are concerned. And once again on Nuke, showing us exactly why. He's the man with the AK-47. They know they need to put it in his hands, especially this late in the game.
Trying to dance around these smokes, spot out some aggression towards outside. It was certainly what Rebirth were doing when they were on that defensive half. And Moose, well, he's not playing towards this red container, but a nice angle towards Secret around these smokes might give him an eye of opportunity to find something. But with Penny overfacing a little, it gives Rebirth that man advantage. And Moose has to trade here. He has to find himself one, possibly even more as he converts a second, not quite the third, but brings things into a 3-on-3 and forces Rebirth right back.
Yeah, Zotic does trade right there, but it's an inch too late, and letting 4-Pack also fall, that might be a bit of a mistake that comes back to bite Rebirth later on in this round.
3 versus 3. 50 seconds on this clock, and Rebirth looking like they want to try on this A site. We haven't seen either team really prioritize this A bomb site so far throughout this one, but as they all burst through the squeaky door, it's Curry to hold things up, and he can't even find the first.
This becomes incredibly difficult. A 2 versus 3 and the orb at the ready. Junior needs to find this shot incredibly quickly and then backtrack as the C4 guns down. Sheikh Zula, he's locked in towards the vents. He's had a tough map here on Nuke. And 2 of the lowest frags on Triumph might just decide to save this one. These rifles are so costly. We see the money almost down to evens. And remember, Josh, this is the CT side on Nuke as well. This is a lockdown counter-terrorist half, and if they don't have rifles in hand on the next, this then becomes practically impossible. And with that AWP removed from the server, Sheikh Zula carries through the primary investment.
Phantom going to make sure as well that that AWP's completely unretrievable. Luckily for Junior, he will actually have enough to pull it out in the next if he wants to. So there is still going to be a pretty healthy buy on this Triumph side. But with Rebirth getting closer, this is what I mentioned before. As soon as you allow that T side to get on to 13, you've only got to make a couple of mistakes. Maybe slip up once or twice, maybe whiff a gunfight, and all of a sudden they're able to very, very easily tip it over the edge. They put themselves onto 14. They're 1 away from securing OT, 2 away from closing out their opponent's map pick, and Triumph, their palms surely are starting to get sweaty here.
10-14, breaking point here for the Triumph CT side. Money broken if they lose it, and Moose getting aggressive first. You said last half, Josh, you love this angle. I certainly do as well. With the smokes placed, it gives him this vantage point, and will Rebirth be ready for it? That smoke grenade is usually a telltale sign that the boost is in full effect, but he's yet to be spotted. Retchy finally gets the information, but unable to punish.
So unfortunate, he just can't quite spot a man around the corner of those smokes, and it means that, well, they're not able to take that man advantage early on. Nonetheless, Junior's able to punch a shot through that smoke. So takes out Retchy, gives them this 5 versus 4 that they're hoping for. And as he's able to reposition as well, he can fire off some shots towards Ramp. That flash not going to cause him too many problems as he hits the shot blind. And now a 5 versus 3 situation. Rebirth forced to backtrack here.
Oh, so to cast a Foon away as well, and with that AWP in hand, wants to re-engage into Sheikh Zula. He's got the head glitch angle. With an AWP in hand, this becomes maybe even the hardest possible angle in the whole of Nuke to contend with. If Sheikh decides to not get aggressive here, he needs to stay alive for as long as possible. This round is in the bag for Triumph if he doesn't make the mistake. And as the IGL, you've got to have all of these tactics, this flowchart ready and waiting, and he absolutely steps up to the task. Now reliant on Junior to watch the angle. Rebirth know this as they decide to bail towards the A bomb site. 20 seconds in hand. Moose does get flashed. That's not without finding the first, and look at that conversion. Triumph, they're coming out on top.
Not a single man falling there. That's such a fantastic round. You talk about Sheikh Zula in that scenario. He either needs to find the kills as they come through or drop off. And he does the latter. It works out perfectly. Rebirth know in that scenario they haven't got enough time. There's only 25 seconds left on that clock. And it takes ages to push through and actually clear out that ramp man. So they fall right back to A. They walk straight into the trap. And Triumph now on to 11. Very, very close to closing this one up, especially now that they're against the pistols and they should be allowed a freebie.
Expectant of the A site push as soon as that Molotov dissipates. Rebirth know it's here. It shows through that squeaky door. I'll take a little bit of damage first, and there's Curry there to close. The bomb, it is isolated beside the B bomb site, but he's already done the damage, Josh. 2 fast frags. The bomb goes down, so that might even be the difference maker here. Remember, this round is now a success for Rebirth. Triumph haven't been able to prevent that one, and although they survived with 5, it's still a bit of a failure.
Absolutely. You do sometimes see it come through, though. Nuke is one of those maps, as well as probably the B site on Train, where on an eco it can be quite easy for those Ts to actually craftily get down either towards the ramp over towards on B bomb site of Train, or actually blow through that squeaky door and get down the vent here on the B site of Nuke. So getting that bomb plant is something that you do often see happen. But that correlates with the fact that these are both heavily CT-sided maps. That bit of extra cash is going to give them some more weaponry to work with. It's going to be AKs all round, healthy utility on every man as they look to throw these smokes outside once again. Look at these nades raining into A.
I was so scared, Josh, that we were going to get a blowout series here for our only day here at IEM New York. I was so excited coming into this one, and Nuke is certainly delivering. Triumph on their way to a comeback here on their pick in Rebirth. Just need to pull the trigger on this map and force us to Inferno. Curry's got the angle or the information and now the frag.
That's an important one for him to find, especially as that smoke posted as well means that his teammate in the squeaky door can't trade it out. But now 3 men stacked up need to take these aim duels, and Retchi takes the first and finds it. Even the second from Phantom as well. What on earth was that?
That A bomb site just absolutely exposed. Triumph had 3 at the ready, and now it's down to Moose and Sheikh Zula, and maybe even playing for OT might become the question mark here. With so much money, I hardly expect them to try and save the AK-47s, but maybe the AWP, it's definitely a dilemma. I don't think Triumph stand any amount of a chance to get back into this one, and we are staring down the barrel of a 15-12 right here. Rebirth. They just need to cling on to this A bomb site. Should be incredibly simple stuff. As Sheikh Zula, he's been one of the liabilities for Triumph thus far this map. And inside the heaven position, that kill is just a consolation prize. Moose just looking to save this one. Maybe even going for the ninja. Sheikh Zula's actually on this bomb, and this gets incredibly complicated. Rebirth, they've bailed in the bomb. Just 1 second. Phantom saves it.
That needed to be a tiny bit more coordinated. Moose was a millisecond away from supporting his teammate and denying that kill coming through. That came down to the wire. But Rebirth, overtime at the very least for them. And even they're talking in the chat right now. How close? Way too close, says Curry. He's
We've got a little
right.
bar, Josh, on our HUD, and it was millimeters away from the defuse.
Wow. What a round. Even calling that timeout as well, just to let that one simmer, calm down a little bit going into what could potentially be the final round here of Nuke. We saw Triumph finding that opening kill, which they've often been pretty successful after finding, but then Rebirth bursting through that A site, finding every single frag with pinpoint precision, and then as soon as they got that C4 down, it was pretty much their round for the taking.
Super close. Match point, that ominous noise constantly ringing, and Triumph need 3 in a row to take us to OT. Definitely a possibility, considering this is the CT side of Nuke.
Only the AKs to work with for Rebirth here once again. The utility on every man as well. Let's see if they can repeat what they did in the last. If they can do so, they might be able to close this one out. But as they face up against the rifles and the AWP in the hands of Junior, they've certainly got a tall order on their hands to convert this and take it to the third.
Zotic is at the ready to receive that outside aggression. Moose 30 kills here on Nuke.
No.
And might be about to rack up a couple more. Nobody checking for him. It's the triple spray down. What a performance outside.
He was the man that got up close towards the red box and went completely overlooked. And this is where the reinforcements come through. Curry's able to find one of his own, and it leaves it all down to Carson. Deep down in these vents, no one really knows where he is, but Penny seems to have an inkling. And really, there's no chance of him clutching this one up. 1 versus 5 situation, and a fantastic response from Triumph.
I almost feel like we're definitely going to overtime here. Rebirth have been pretty decent on this T side, all things considered, but I'd love to see even more rounds on Nuke. 2 more to be played in regulation. This one pretty dead in the water as of this point. And Rebirth, the economy becomes the question. I don't think they can afford a buy in the next. And Carson, no opportunity to get that C4 away. We won't see any bonus cash.
Rebirth, they've really been struggling to string rounds together on this T side. After they, of course, took the pistol in the second half, put themselves on to 11, that's where it then started to be a round coming through here and there. And Carson, he has an opportunity to deal some damage, but he walks straight into the double stack. Curry takes his head clean off, and that's going to be the 13th for Triumph. And look at this money on this Rebirth side right now. They've got a real dilemma on their hands. Zotic's got the cash to fully invest. Carson's got some money maybe to pull out a Galil, but they're not going to go for this full investment. They have to go down to these pistols, allow Triumph onto 14 more than likely, and then go for the full investment in the last. So we're going to see a 15-14 here, and that 1 round to separate them from overtime or bust.
Moose, he's been the primary puncher here for Triumph, especially in this second half. 33 kills, and as the rush comes in, Sheikh Zula gets absolutely punished. What a flick from Junior, though. That's 4-pack eliminated, and looking to double dip on the pressure with this AWP. The Deagle's closing in. We hear those chats ticking. I'm sure that's a couple of NSNS in the chat. And I don't see this bomb going down here. Curry should be able to just compromise, and well, there's another couple of frags for Moose. He pads those statistics. Another triple kill for him to get up to 36.
said you hear the ticks and assumed it was an NS. It was midair, WTF, Lamau.
Oh no.
It was a crazy flick shot, even just against the
I should have
pistols.
remembered, Josh, that this is North American Counter-Strike. It's never going to be just as simple as an NS.
Exactly. That one took me by surprise as well, though. As we go into the 30th, this is where things start to get exciting and where Triumph absolutely can't make any mistakes. A 5 versus 5 situation with everybody with the weapons, and Rebirth heading towards outside early. Need to get this one over the edge.
We are at the ready. Overtime certainly on the cards here for Nuke. And Triumph, what a comeback this would be. Rebirth have held the upper hand from the very start. We've got 3.5 hours to play this series, and we might go the whole distance. Moose with the first. This is really starting to fall apart right now. Is Carson also going to fall? A very disjointed push for Rebirth as they get completely collapsed in upon. Sheikh Zula, who's been a quiet member, needs to hold down the angle once again as the smoke dissipates, and Zotic might be the first man in line to take this swing.
4 versus 3, Zotic, as you say, up close to this smoke that starts to dissipate, needs to try and level out these numbers. And as he's going to face up against the AWP of Junior, surely he falls. Junior has been flawless this game, and even the counter utility coming through to keep that push at bay. 50 seconds ticking away on this clock, a 4 versus 2 situation. 4-pack and Zotic have to pull a rabbit out of the hat right now to try and make this one work. With all the utility to work with, there's potential. Of course, the C4 still on the back of Zotic as well, but there's no opportunity in on these bomb sites. And as they've been spotted, the reinforcements surely rotate.
Zotic, it's a guaranteed frag. The A bomb site's still up for grabs. They could shut this series down early, force us to a third. That would be Inferno and Zotic. Oh, he's going to fall. It's Sheikh Zula mopping up the rest to bring us to overtime. We'll see bonus rounds, Josh.
Well, you wouldn't expect any less from this one. Rebirth, they had several opportunities to close it out when Triumph were trailing by many, but 15-15, it really tells the tale. Triumph have had a really strong CT side, and as they start off on their CT side as well here in the first half of OT, they might be able to steamroll it and take the first 3.
Yeah, they do hold the upper hand here, don't they? And before the quick pause, of course, we've got both teams back to evens, practically 0-0 at this point. Remember, we play MR3 and just 10k. So that CT side, not as easy to contend with as a $16,000 barn burner, all out, guns blazing. We see the autos, everything to play with. That double up setup does become a bit costly. If you invest, you need to actually keep it alive into all 3 of these rounds. Obviously, without $16,000 in the bank accounts, the retakes, of course, start to become a little more deadly and dangerous. The stakes are higher. You can't just throw away all those rifles. You've got to be able to manage your economy on that CT side.
And something that's gone completely overlooked here is Moose is currently sitting on 37 frags. Now, that's something that isn't too crazy in a 30-round game. You do tend to see those 30 frags plus coming in, but he is really leading the charge for the Triumph side here. We've seen him getting some fantastic kills. We saw that round where he was outside dancing around these smokes, got himself a crazy 3K. I think he even picked up the 4th right at the end as well. So he's really been putting up some big numbers, had some high impact rounds. And I think that if you take away those high impact rounds, then Rebirth might have been able to close this one out before Triumph managed to pull it back. But as soon as those rounds start to sway their favor, they force Rebirth back onto these eco situations. It becomes very difficult for them to close before Triumph can claw their way back.
Really, it has been Penny and Moose all series, putting in that 1-2 sucker punch with no knockout blow from the other 3. We'd have expected Junior's AWP to be a little more impactful on this map, to be perfectly honest with you. He did has impact at times, but 15-15, I think Triumph would have been looking to close this one out early. As you go back over their results, lots of overtimes, lots of close games, even against the likes of Furia going to all 30 rounds previously. Here, Rebirth as well, they've not gone without their close series. So here in IEM New York, welcome to Tier 1, folks. We've certainly got quite the game on our hands as we will be going into this first half of OT in the next couple of moments.
That's absolutely something that comes into play. You don't necessarily see it in these kind of games. Of course, Rebirth really playing at a different kind of tier in the other way. Like they're playing at a lower level. They're playing at that kind of MDL tier. Triumph are playing at that Pro League tier. But you see in these top tier 1 games, often just going so crazily back and forth. If you look at Triumph's last results on Nuke, they actually took a win against Cloud9 quite convincingly. I think it was 16-11, 16-12 perhaps. And then straight afterwards, in a separate league, took a loss to them 16-4. Like 3 days later, yeah, and it just shows how like crazy it can just go back and forth. And right now, Triumph, they're showing that here on Nuke, that they're struggling a little to close, but they've managed to pull it all the way back. And now in OT, let's see if they can get the job done and finish this one off.
Well, the AWP's right for both teams. It's 4-pack holstering that sniper rifle. Carson coming in through Mini. This seems to be a fast A take, one that Triumph have struggled to hold back, and Carson already starting off the fragging. A big headshot, and now Penny has to close in. A messy spray away could have definitely merited much more, and Sheikh Zula, who's finally woken up in this series, is able to find one in a response. A 3 versus 3 scenario. The flash is through, but nobody to peek on the receiving end, and as Moose goes down, this pressure firmly applied, and can Triumph afford to pile drive into this one? Only 3.5k in hand for Junior, and I think he wants to bail with the sniper rifle.
Yeah, he absolutely has to hold on to this AWP. The rest of his teammates can afford to charge in there, but this AWP has to go into the next. If it doesn't, well, maybe they can buy one more, but they certainly won't be able to have one in the third unless they convert. So really, really impactful to hold on to this. He can actually hear Zotic running across, and he doesn't even want to peek and go for that frag. He wants to keep them guessing. By the looks of things, they seem to think he's pushed right back towards the CT spawn, and they're absolutely wrong. Junior is going to be able to hold on to this one, but Rebirth come out swinging in the first round of OT and put themselves onto 16.
Such a powerful round as well. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That A take has been the most successful Forte. 16 rounds. It's not that magic 16 we were looking for earlier. They need 19 to close, of course, ladies and gentlemen. Junior's back with the AWP. It's towards the double sniper setup as Sheikh Zula spends his entire bank here in the second round of overtime.
Junior has absolutely been formidable when he has this AWP in hand. Hasn't seemed to find many frags elsewhere. But when he's got that scopes rifle, he seems to do a whole load of damage. And this double AWP setup could certainly pay some dividends. He's getting up close to this smoke, getting a load of information, actually charging down this vent as well. I think he was somewhat expecting maybe someone to drop there, but it puts him in a prime position. And Moose right behind this box could have got himself too if he had the trigger discipline, but instead goes 1-for-1 as Rebirth start to close in.
Rinse and repeat. Curry and Penny need to hold up the aggression, and the crossfire is working out perfectly. A 3-for-1 trade as Penny secures the triple and closes it off. That's a 16 for Triumph as they close up this scoreline. I think they need one more, Josh, to make this a successful CT side.
Absolutely. We saw them really struggling on that T half. So to take the lead here in the CT absolutely makes sense. And it's something that they really, really need to do. Fantastic hold from Penny there just to draw the attention away, allow his teammate to fire off some shots and then finish things off. 16-16. This is do or die time for Rebirth. They really want to finish this one off, or they're going to take a loss in their final match of IEM New York. And as the Molotovs rain in, do some early damage. Really quick aggression from Rebirth, but it's getting shut down for now.
Triumph can't over-aggress this. They need to hold their advantage in this 3 versus 4 scenario. Bomb down, Rebirth now forced to hold and take that T-sided lead. The smokes are placed, and there's a Molotov as well thrown in Triumph's face as a response. There's another Molotov. They're keeping these CTs at bay, and look at the damage dealt by the flurry of nades. This is so brutal right now, and Sheikh Zula still has to wait. Triumph, they're not running low on time yet, but they have to eliminate Carson to be the first. They've got this triple set piece, and Rebirth should be able to hold this one away. It all comes down to this initial headshot. Even more utility right now as 4-pack steals away the first. Here come the AKs as Carson able to spray it away for all 3. Closes it down for 17 in OT, and there's nothing Triumph can do about that one.
That's such a fantastic round there from the T side. They just keep them away. All of those Molotovs saved for the post plant mean that there's no chance for Triumph to go for that retake. They would have wanted to go for that 4 versus 3 instantly, but those Molotovs keep raining through, by about 30 seconds of time, and then Triumph are forced to charge right in when there's no time left on that bomb. It's beeping way too fast, and they've got no opportunity. Now they need to find 2 at the very least, preferably 3 here on this T side to try and close this one out.
Imagine headshotting your own teammate in the T spawn in overtime in IEM New York. I'm a little bit startled at times by NACS. We've got to give it the credit, but 16-17 as we are going the distance.
Secondary smoke coming up, giving them a little bit more like room to work with. But Moose has already managed to wriggle his way out. That's going to be the first kill, and this is where he backtracks. He doesn't want to push through any further. He's got no support from his teammates. He's just going to take that first man full right away. They've got plenty of time on the clock to work with, and they're going to use it to take control outside.
AWP at the ready for Junior. Not been massively impactful in this second map of the day. This series, really Moose and Penny taking the reins. But as the smokes fall, it will be Secret Control in Carson. He's ready and waiting with the howl roaring to receive. Need some headshots here, and Curry is going to be the first to drop. It's that AWP to do the trick. The trade right back, and as 4Pack establishes the angle, he wants to re-engage and do even more damage in the 3 versus 2. Only 30 seconds right now with Penny still roaming. He's able to find another one. That diverts the attention, and Retchi soon to drop. 4Pack needs to now close. Penny knows exactly where he's playing from as the AWP re-engages. He closes in, looks the wrong way. There's the nade outwards, and 4Pack, he's got the dominant angle, finds the backwards line, and that's 18. Map point for Rebirth.
That's so awkward to watch from our perspectives with the X-rays. Just incredible timing, just going back and forth. But somehow Rebirth are able to come out on top. They've secured double OT at the very least. One more would tip it over the edge, and Triumph need 2 to keep their run here alive on Nuke. The weapons are going to come out, but it's not going to be the best of buys. Even a Galil here on Penny. This is what they have to get the work done with.
So damn close. 19 certainly on the cards, especially with Carson sweeping away the first. He's got the AK in hand, and they might be about to finish this one off, Josh. The M4s, they're bursting through. So much aggression, and Rebirth might have just done it. We could be firing off to Inferno, and we absolutely will. What the hell was that? Unbelievable map is Rebirth. They get the closer here on Nuke.
Absolutely crazy. I